Okay. Good afternoon. This is the March 11th meeting of the Finance Committee. I am calling the meeting to order. May I have an approval of the agenda, please?
So
Chris?
second.
Thank you. So Peter?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Flo?
Aye.
Denise, aye. Thank you. I'm now opening it for public comment. We have public people, and seeing no electronics hands raised, I'm closing it for public comments. Agenda item number 4, potential reconsideration of recommendation for Article 2, appropriation unpaid bills.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair.
Over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Director of Finance.
So we had 2 late AT&T bills come in from the police department. And so we would ask that the Finance Committee reopen Article 2 for unpaid bills to allow us to add them into the motion so that they could be considered at the annual town meeting in 2024 for authorization to pay.
Move to reopen.
Second.
Thank you. Peter.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
Jill.
Aye, sorry.
Okay, Joe.
Aye.
Denise, aye. Okay, it's
Jeremy.
reopened.
Jeremy's.
Oh, Jeremy. Jeremy, you're on now. Okay.
Aye.
Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, the 2 bills are both at the right underneath the first AT&T bill. They're $420.88 for 2 months for January and February, actually of 23. So we'd ask for a positive motion to include those in the.
Move to paraphone bill.
Second.
Okay, Chris.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Jeremy.
Aye.
Jill.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion to adopt.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Unanimous. So please, aye. Okay. All right. Discussion of warrant articles for annual town meeting 2024. Article number 3, appropriation prior year articles. Brian, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the first request is to transfer from Fire Department Article 10 of the 2022 annual town meeting, which is a capital article, the balance of $42,424 to Article 10 of the 2023 annual town meeting for engine 1 replacement. The second in the general fund is to transfer $69,700 from our DPW Parks Article 10 of the 2022 annual town meeting skate park fence, which has been completed and this money is no longer needed, to Article 10 of the 2022 annual town meeting for the water mains west of the airport. And I will just let the committee know the reason for this is that town owns a house within that area and we need to connect that house to town water. So we cannot use the SRF funds to connect the townhouse from into that. So we're transferring this money in. It's a little bit more than we're expecting it to cost, and it's all going to be completed before June 30th. So any unused funds here would just be closed back into undesignated fund balance and recertified as free cash at the end of this year. The airport has a lengthy list, and this list is consistent with the way that the airport has done things. They authorize borrowings for capital projects in previous years, and that way we can issue bans for cash flow purposes for them. And then as the projects are completed and the bans come due or they've gotten any reimbursements for grants, we also, if there's a need for retained earnings, we add that into the capital project fund to allow for the payment of the bans. So all told, they're asking for $5,639,423.26 of use of retained earnings to go into those capital accounts to pay down the majority of the bans that are associated with all of those projects. The last prior year article transfer that we're asking for is in 2022, Article 22, we had an allocation for solid waste of $250,000 to relocate the Pleasant Street trailer, which we're all sitting in, to Tioli building, since that is probably a few years away. There is a need to install some leachate tanks at the solid waste facility. So we're recommending that we transfer $250,000 into a capital article for purchase and installation of 2 leachate tanks at the solid waste facility.
Thank you, Brian. Questions from the committee? Seeing none, we have a motion.
Motion to adopt. Second.
Okay, thank you. Jill?
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Denise, I. Okay, thank you.
What,
Brian?
what's the retained earnings balance for the airport after all that, you know? Roughly.
By the time we get done the other article, it'll be about 2 million out of the 9. They've spent pretty much almost all of the 9 million, which is consistent with the way they have done it.
Article 6, please, Brian.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Article 6 is the general fund budget transfers, which were approved in Article 8. We're requesting to transfer the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be from medical insurance to fire operating in the amount of 115,000. The majority of this is due to cover additional uniforms for new hires, as well as for paramedic training materials and supplements. Human resources, 37,800, which is a result of the comp and class study that the town had undertaken and granted to people in October. Plus salaries, 169,000. The majority of this is all associated with continued high increase utilization of overtime within that office due to some staffing shortages, changes that have happened. Medical insurance for fire department salaries, 490,000. This 490,000 is mainly comprised of the settlement of the contract, and this is typically where we've put some of the allocation to cover this, and we transfer it out once all the union agreements are settled. And then there is some overtime overage in this, a result of an increased larger number of people attending the paramedic training. Some of that's off island, and we agreed when we instituted that program that we would pay time and a half for the people that are attending that training. So that's where some of this is coming from. The majority of this is related to the settlement of the union contract. And then natural resources salaries, this is related to not only the comp and class study, but also the settlement of the laborers union contract within this department. And then we have 42,500 coming from free cash into the special purpose stabilization fund for substance abuse. This 42,500 is actually from the opioid money that we have received to date, but because we had not because of the time that we were receiving it, DOR hadn't issued all the final guidance. This went into the general fund and was closed in, and now we need to do the transfer to put it into this fund. So.
Any questions from the committee, Peter?
Brian, why was there so much overage in the medical insurance account?
Well, without giving too much away, Peter, during union negotiations, some of the expected increases are built into the health insurance increase as a way to keep our negotiating position as flexible as possible. If that gives you the best answer I can.
Other questions? Being none. Oh, sorry, Chris.
I'm trying to think back to our day together in January, our Saturday, right? Pretty much, we don't have visibility into this then, or maybe some of it's there.
Well, that day and Saturday, some of it's there, but this analysis and these numbers are as of through the last payroll. We run an analysis through every payroll of where we think the accounts are going to end up.
I'm just trying to think through it. I'm actually thinking more ahead to like next year and
Yeah,
such.
well, and that's a great question, Chris. So next year's budget for fiscal 25 would have had all of this built into their operating budget already. Because this was.
It would have been in the actuals.
It would have been
enough to get into next year's budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So there shouldn't be a budgetary issue in relation to the settled agreements in next year's budget, because it's all been placed into their operating accounts and their salary line items.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Any other questions? May I have a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. Chris?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
And Jill. There we go. All the J's. I'm just going to say all the J's, please chime in. There we go. Thank you, Denise. Aye. Okay, unanimous. Article 8, please, Brian.
So thank you, Madam Chair. Article 8 is the general fund operating budget. I'm going to go to the last page, Maria. Actually, I'm sorry. Can you go back up 1 second here? So Article 8 is consistent with everything that was presented to the Finance Committee on that Saturday in January. I almost said June, actually, with the exception of one small piece in here, which is under Nantucket Housing Office. This is where we have put the transfer to the Affordable Housing Trust, because it's not an enterprise fund, so it doesn't have its own standalone budget to transfer it into. So we have included in this, and at the end of this budget, Maria, if you would scroll down to the motion. So the total general fund operating budget as presented with the authorization for the transfer to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund for the override that we did is $131,013,302, broken up between $123,332,902 from raise and appropriate and other general revenues, with $1,017,900 being funded through free cash for one-time operating expenses, and then $6,662,500 be raised and appropriated from the tax levy and other general revenues and be transferred to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Questions? Motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Peter,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Thank you. Denise, aye. Motion unanimous. Article 10, please, Brian.
So this is Article 10 is the general fund capital, which I believe we also did go through when the departments presented their budget. And also you have the presentation from the capital program committee on their recommendations, which are consistent with what the town manager and town administration had discussed and recommended to them. You have the motion at the bottom. Oh, we don't, did you not write the motion on this? I don't have a motion on the bottom of mine.
Oh.
Okay, we'll have to do this on the 14th, Madam Chair, because we need to write the motion to delineate them. And I didn't realize, I didn't see it not done. My fault. That's my fault. My apologies to the
No
committee.
problem. You still got a couple of you on the 14th anyway, so this be quick. Okay, Article 11, please, Brian and Christie.
Oh, yes. So Article 11 is the appropriation for town employee housing feasibility costs. The motion is to raise and appropriate $3 million or appropriate $3 million to be spent by the town manager with the approval of select board for the purposes. Oh, I'm sorry. Going faster. For the purposes of including the cost of professional services, permitting, engineering, and any other costs, as well as a feasibility study. This is a debt exclusion, so it should support to note that it will take a 2/3 majority at annual town meeting and a simple majority, or 50+1 vote at the ballot.
Okay.
50% plus one.
Is this a specific project that we have planned?
This is to start to address the fact that the town needs to be developing housing, not only affordable housing for the entire island, but for housing for its own employees. And there are parcels that the town has that we would start with a feasibility study to conduct on those parcels. And then with the money that's left over from that would go into hiring an OPM and a design architect to start the process of developing what they could look like to start that.
Brian, how many people might be ultimately housed in this project that we spent $3 million studying?
I'm going to turn some of this over to Christie, but my initial projection also for that, Jeremy, would depend on what we could develop on those parcels of land.
Yeah, so in the Capcom presentation, there's a sketch of what we could do on Tacoma Way. When you first turn on Tacoma, part of that 246 layout, I think there's 10 lots that we could develop. And so we could either do, one house per lot or duplexes. So as we try to figure out what could be feasible in those areas, then we could know how many to house. We have an internal work group that's looking at all the different parcels. So there's some out in the boulevard that we might be able to add housing to or redevelop. So this study will help us kind of figure out how many people we could potentially home.
So another way of looking at this, if I understand this, let's say you could do 20 homes or 20 families, and we're looking at about $150,000 of planning in addition to already owning the land to plan for maybe 20 family dwellings. Is that correct?
I don't think that the feasibility study or that planning, Jeremy, would take the full $3 million. So as noted, whatever was not needed for the feasibility, there's no way that a feasibility study is going to cost $3 million to figure out what to do with the land. So what that would allow us to do is once we had that feasibility study completed would be to look at the two the parcels that we're trying to develop and pick one to start, and we would be able to hire an OPM and potentially a design firm through bidding services to get started on that. I do not envision a scenario where it's $3 million to do a study of what we can put on these properties.
So part of the money is to begin to move towards making them.
Yes. That's correct.
But orders of magnitude, we're talking about up to 20 families.
As I understand it, that's correct. Yes.
Other questions? Okay. Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. Joe?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Denise, aye. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
So bad.
Okay. So Article 12 will be on Thursday. Moving on to Article 13, please, Brian.
Article 13 is a supplemental appropriation for the Public Works Facility improvements design. Is to continue the design effort now that it's been reconfigured and refocused on potentially on the Shadwell Road area. So we're asking for a positive motion to be able to appropriate the sum of $1,200,000 to be spent by the town manager with the approval of select board for design improvements to the Department of Public Works facility at either 188 Mattakit Road, 10 Sun Island Road, and or 1 Shadbush Road. I think two of those, I think Mattakit Road and Sun Island are most likely off the table, and it's focused on Shadbush Road. To include the cost of engineering services for design, permitting, engineering, and other related professional services. I would note that this is also a debt solution that has an accompanying ballot question as well. And the borrowing authorization will require 2/3 at annual town meeting.
Any questions for Brian?
Couple of questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Supplemental, what was the total? What does this bring the total to, do you know, for this?
For the total engineering and design
Yeah.
will bring us to approximately $3.5 million.
And you may know this, and has Capcom got sort of a big number out there, like what the total facility cost is kind of swagged at?
Yes, and Sue is on and can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's close to 40 million for the building, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And that building will actually, all the equipment will be able to be parked inside, unlike the stuff that sits outside now.
Correct.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
How many square feet on the building?
That I don't know off the top of my head. I apologize for that.
Color
Yeah,
the
no,
walls.
everything.
What color are the walls,
Yeah.
Brian? Okay,
Sheet metal gray.
excellent. Any further questions? Okay, motion, please.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. Peter?
Oh, aye.
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Joe? Denise, aye. Thank you.
What year are we expecting to build that thing? Sorry, never mind.
Next
I'll look it up.
year after, I think.
Really, that's it.
Sorry.
Denise. The color of the wall.
Yes, Libby?
Living, yeah.
I'm just gonna say that we have a potential, depending on our permitting, to possibly go to a special town meeting in the fall for the construction appropriation. And if that were to pass, we would hopefully break ground probably within the next, maybe sometime during 2025.
Wow.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Maybe.
And then you'll turn the existing one into office space? A meeting space?
Yeah, FinCom meeting space.
We moved from the trailer to the DPW.
I'll be lucky.
Okay, enough levity from Denise. Okay, Article 13.
Mhm.
Article 14 is a supplemental for Newtown Road for transportation improvements. There was a previous $1 million authorization that when we engaged EPG and when they looked at the road and surveyed the road and determined all the improvements that we wanted to make and needed to be made, determined that $1 million was not sufficient to do that. The estimate is closer to it's just under 3 million. So with this 2 million, we will have enough to complete all of the recommended improvements, including multi-use paths along the road and road and drainage improvements. So
Great. Any questions? Okay. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to adopt.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. So Chris,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
thank you. Denise, aye. All right, and it's also a debt exclusion, correct?
That's correct, yes, and it's a borrowing, so it does require 2/3 majority at the annual town meeting. Sorry about that, Madam Chair.
Nope, that's okay. Paying attention. Article 15.
It's an appropriation request in the amount of $2 million for Ton Nevers Park debris removal and erosion control and dune restoration. That is a debt exclusion as well, and will require 2/3 majority at annual town meeting for approval.
Okay.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Oh,
Jeremy, you have a question?
I was more curious, Brian. How long will it take to remove and fix everything up out there?
That I don't know off the top of my head, Jeremy.
Okay.
I know
Denise?
maybe Libby
Yeah,
might
go
know,
ahead,
yeah.
Libby.
Between Charlie Palaki, our Parks and Rec manager, and Drew, our DPW director, they might be able to answer this in a little more detail, but we have a lot of permitting to do here. And it is unclear if $2 million is even going to cover the permitting, the debris removal, and the erosion control and dune restoration. It's quite a significant project.
What kind of permitting do you need?
We need environmental, Army Corps most likely, because it's right on the shoreline. Concom, probably have to do an environmental impact report, possibly.
An EIS, a full one?
Probably more, well, I don't know about a full one. It might just be an environmental notification form, an ENF.
Yeah.
But I don't think we quite know that yet.
So there's no way to know timing. Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Motion, please.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. Chris?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Yes, aye. Thank you. Always thank myself, didn't you know this? Okay. There's also debt exclusion, correct, Brian?
That's correct, Madam Chair. Everything that we're talking about up to Article 19 is debt exclusions. Article
All right.
19 is free cash. And
What's the total dollar value of the debt exclusions? You must have asked that.
I should have been prepared for you to ask that. 3,
I haven't kept
6,
the running.
9,
total,
10.2, 13.2, 15.2, 17.265, that 18.265, and 3.
I have the total if you'd like it.
Yeah, see, there we go.
That's good, Susan. Thank you.
20,165,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay, Article 16, please, Brian.
Back to my sheets. Thank you, Madam Chair. Article 16 is a request for an appropriation in the amount of $5,065,000 for the expansion of landfill cell 3B, located at the solid waste management facility at 188 Mattocket Road. This is a borrowing which will require 2/3 majority at town meeting, as well as a debt exclusion ballot question.
Okay. Any questions?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Jeremy?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Denise, aye. Okay. I did not thank myself this time. Article 17, reconstruction of jetty beach tennis courts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is an appropriation request for the reconstruction of the courts down at Jetty's Beach, because they still, even with the school tennis courts, still get a tremendous amount of usage in the amount of $1,900,000. It is a borrowing authorization, which will require 2/3 majority at annual town meeting, and it also has a subsequent ballot authorization as well. Ballot question for debt exclusion.
Okay, great.
Weren't we talking about removing them at one point totally?
We have in the past had those discussions, but I think at this point, we need to, we're continuing to use them, and they're continuing to get a substantial amount of usage. So we need to get them in shape to.
But that is that 2 million gonna make them, worthy to last 10 more years?
How many more years other than 10? I don't know. They should last substantially, at least 10 years, yes. With those changes.
Denise, could Charlie answer that?
Sure. Charlie?
We're expecting to get at least 20 years. We do a post-tension concrete slab similar to what the high school just installed.
And how long will it take to
Really
refurb it?
Not 3
They estimate 14 to 16 weeks for the construction. And then they guarantee the structural for 20 years.
And when will the work start?
Hopefully we can do some demolition if everything goes through in the fall, once we kind of close the courts of the season. And then we'll need to have, the ability to pour concrete to get opened and then coat. So hopefully for the following season.
Thank you, Charlie. Any other questions? Jill, go ahead.
Yeah, Charlie, are you still planning to include changing some of those courts to pickle courts?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
How many pickle courts?
I'm going to leave that up to the Parks and Rec Commission, but I think we had planned on doing 4 tennis courts and a minimum of 4 pickleball courts.
That will be very popular.
But it doesn't change the overall slab will be the same. That'll just be the matter of painting the lines.
Any other questions? Okay, may I have a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. Jill?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Denise, aye. Okay. Unanimous. Yay. Article 18, please, Brian.
So this is the Public Safety Auxiliary Building, which I think the committee's seen at least once or twice before that. The deputy chief is on to answer any questions about this. It's an appropriation in the amount of $5 million. It is a borrowing which will require 2/3 majority at the annual town meeting and also contingent on a successful debt exclusion ballot question.
Any questions about this? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Chris?
Second.
Thank you. Chris?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Joe? I think he said aye. I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
Motion to adopt.
Denise, I just have one question. I still vote aye, of course, but will there be meeting rooms in this building that can be used even for instance, us? Because I always hear we don't have enough meeting space.
This is a parking garage.
This is a repair facility and a place to store equipment, so it doesn't have to sit
Okay.
outside. I don't believe there'll be any meeting space in it.
Actually sounds perfect for our meetings.
I'm really pretty excited about going out to the dump.
Yeah.
You guys can keep going. Yeah. All right, Article 19, please, Brian.
Article 19 is an article for the acquisition of the composting facility and transfer station at Mattocket Road. The motion is to appropriate from free cash $4,400,000 for the 2 acquisitions as noted, which would occur prior to the ending or simultaneously with the ending of the contract. But this would allow us the ability to own all of the facilities on the property.
Any questions on this?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
That was quick. Okay, Peter,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Jill.
Aye.
Joe, did you say aye or no?
Jill said aye. I didn't,
Yeah.
sorry.
I got Jill, aye. Joe, I didn't hear quite clearly. Okay, perfect, thank you. Denise, aye. Okay, 21.
21, thank you, Madam Chair. This is the fiscal 2025 enterprise fund operations. The total budget for all enterprise funds from airport, Ireland, home, sewer, solid waste, stormwater, and Nantucket Water Department, is $62,014,791 with the funding sources laid out below for each of those funds. I just would like to point out with one that well, at least with most of them, we're not using any retained earnings, which is consistent with the policy, and we've finally been able to get all of them off using retained earnings, which I'm thankful to all the departments for their hard work with that.
Great, that's excellent news. Thank you, Brian. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one question on our island home. Brian, I understood that the town subsidizes it approximately $5 million a year, and the voters approved about $8 million to study building the new one. If those numbers are approximately correct, how do we have a $9.5 million 24 budget and a 10.3 million 25 budget?
So the $8.5 million funding for the design of the new facility, which was appropriated, I believe, in 23, is a separate article apart and not included in their operating budget, and it was a debt exclusion vote. So
Okay.
it's not in this enterprise fund. And if you, in Article 21 underneath, the funding is 10,288,000 to operate the facility, with 4,903,000 coming from their anticipated revenues and 5,384,000 coming from the override that the taxpayers very graciously and generously approved 2 years ago.
Understood. Thank you.
So does that answer the question, Jeremy?
Yes, it does.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any other questions?
Yeah, I just got,
Chris?
I know it's not currently an enterprise fund, but does Parks and Rec have any revenue?
Does
that
limited
mean user
revenue that
fees
goes
or-
into a revolving fund for their office.
Okay.
Where do you get revenue?
Any other?
Fees and registrations and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair.
Oh, sorry, Jill, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think they charge for you to use the tennis courts.
Yep.
Yeah, I just mumbled that to Peter. You didn't hear me.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's
And
okay.
it just offsets operating, so it's not an opportunity to use some of that to pay for like
It's
capital
not
improvements over time.
anywhere near enough to make any substantial dent in any of
But
that.
they're gonna charge the pickleball players $1,000.
I was gonna say, why not? It should be, right?
Yeah, but if I can add to that, that actually is an important point. I mean, that's why the pickleball will be used a lot, and I think they will start generating more revenue. Just to compare it to where we are in the summertime alone at NRSA, we made $25,000 off of pickleball usage from non-members.
That's great.
There you go. Not too bad.
Yeah.
A little bit short of the 1.9 million support.
Yep.
On our way.
Start.
You
right?
know, over 20 years,
Paint.
still short.
Paint, yeah, so, okay. May I have a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Thank
Second.
you, thank you. Chris,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
thank you, Denise, aye. All right, 22, please, Brian.
22 is enterprise fund capital expenditures laid out in the table by enterprise funds. The total, which was recommended through town administration for review by Capcom, ultimately recommended by Capcom, it is $56,423,725. And as noted in the article and the motion, Madam Chair, since there are borrowing authorizations in this at town meeting, it will require a 2/3 majority.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions about this? Seeing none,
Motion to adopt.
Second.
it's my motion dream team.
And
Chris?
we're here, second,
Yeah, right, we're here.
Chris,
second.
oh, yeah.
Oh,
No,
aye, yeah, sorry.
not the second.
I think.
We're not.
Mhm.
Peter,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
and Denise, aye, unanimous. Okay, 23,
Article 23, Madam Chair, is enterprise fiscal 2024 budget transfers. There is only one from our island home salaries into our island home operating. Much as we did last year, first, this request is $1,090,000, much as we did last year, given the difficulties in being able to staff with our own employees, be it CNAs or registered nurses and positions of that nature. We're using or relying on outside travel agencies more. And so this is coming from the unused salary and accompanying health insurance numbers to put into the operating budget to cover those costs.
okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay. Peter,
So if we move money, salary money into operating, does that distort the amount of money it costs us? I know that the bottom line's the same, or it should be in it really is a salary, but it doesn't really matter what's coming out of the operating budget, or the salary budget, right?
Well, no, because it's a contract for a set fee to the staffing agency, so we're not paying on we're paying, you know, as a discussion's sake or point, $3,500 a week for some of the travel nurses. So we're not paying on an hourly basis. We're paying $3,500 a week to have the travel nurse there. So I don't think it necessarily, the only thing it would really potentially kind of skew is the cost for the town's personnel versus the utilization of travel nurses, but it still doesn't skew the total cost to operate the facility because it still is what it is, however we parse it out at this point.
Bob's salary is handled the same way,
So Bob,
or his contract.
EF Associates and all of those contracts are all in professional services in the operating side of the budget. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's effectively cleaning up accounts.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, how many people have to come in through these third-party contracts as opposed to direct hires? What's the mix?
The majority, I think, I'd have to get back to you, Jeremy, because I don't want to misspeak when I tell you how many travel nurses are coming in versus what we had in the budget. I would not want to give you the wrong information today.
Okay.
Because I don't know it right off the top of my head.
Okey-dokey. Any other questions?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Peter,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Lisa, aye, unanimous. 29, please, Brian.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is an article to rescind previously authorized borrowing authority that is no longer needed. We have one from the airport for the ground service equipment garage, which this project is completed, was approved at the Article 14 of the 2015 annual town meeting, and the amount to be rescinded is $60,000. Then we have one with solid waste, which was stormwater drainage improvements. This actually is a duplicate of a previously authorized article. This was Article 22 at the 2022 annual town meeting, and we would be rescinding the full amount of $600,000 for this article.
How did it get to be a duplicate?
We funded one with free cash actually last year.
Okay.
People didn't, and we had already had one, so it makes more sense to remove the borrowing capacity since we have the free cash to utilize.
Yep, okay, good, thank you. Any other questions?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you, okay. Joe.
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Denise, aye. Article 99. This is for the pump station, is that correct, Brian?
This would be authorize the acquisition to acquire. Libby, I might need help with this one.
Yeah, so we asked you to hold this one because we don't actually need an article to authorize the acquisition of property unless we were going to take it by eminent domain, which we're not suggesting here. But I think we had thought early on when we were developing the warrant that we might be able to have done some negotiations with property owners, but we have in fact not been able to do that. So I think we will have to settle right now with a take no action.
Okay, take no action is always easy.
Move to take no action.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Joe,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Jeremy, Chris,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Denise, aye, unanimous, okay. Agenda item 6, no hands raised, excellent. Agenda item 7, date of next meeting is this Thursday, the 14th. It's fully remote. It's with the planning board, select board, and finance committee. And we will have then 4 articles to make recommendations on, 2 of which are planning board. So we've already made recommendations once on them, so I think they may have some adjustments, at least in their motion, and we'll see. Any committee reports since last Thursday? Was Friday a big committee day? Seeing no hands raised, I am going to move actually, any other business? No other business, okay, we're gonna move right to adjournment. May I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Joe.
Aye.
Jill.
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Brian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Maria,
Thank
thank you very much. Everybody, good to see you, and we'll see you on Thursday. Thank you, everybody.
You all see us. Or you.
Well, I'll see you.